Here's the first question. The weight of a synthetic ball varies directly with the cube of its radius. So weight varies directly with the cube of its radius. How do I write that? The cube of the radius. Very good. And if they vary directly, W varies directly with R cubed. What do I have to write? W equals K, right? So there are three situations. One is direct. Y equals Kx. Inverse. Y equals K over X. And joint. Y equals K times X times Z. These are the three possibilities. Okay? So, in our problem, we have the W varies directly as R cubed. Now, a ball with a radius of 2 inches weighs 5.2 pounds. Why is this information given to us? What do I do with it? Exactly. So 5.2 equals K times 8, 2 to the third. So K is 5.2 over 8. We don't like having decimal numbers in a fraction, so I'm going to say K equals 52 over 80. Multiply top and bottom by 10. Now I will rewrite the equation. Can anyone dictate the new equation? W equals (52 over 80) times R cubed. Now I can answer the question. Find the weight of a ball of the same material with a 3-inch radius. So how do I find the weight? (52 over 80) multiplied by? 30. Yes, or 27. They say as the final answer, they wanted an integer or a decimal. So when I calculate 52 multiplied by 27 and I divide the whole thing by 80, I will get 17.55, and that's in pounds. 17.55 in pounds. Is this okay?
Where did you get 27?
It's 3 cubed. I have to cube first and then multiply.
But I thought they said it was 2 cubed.
That was the initial information given to us to determine K.
Okay.
So once I found K, I rewrote the equation. And now I'm told what is the weight for a ball made of the same material with a 3-inch radius. So 3 cubed is 27, and I multiply by 52 and divide by 80. Better?
Yeah.
Here's another problem. Pairs of markings are set. Pairs of markings set a distance, I think, or a set distance apart, are set. Okay, are set. Distance apart are made on highways so that police, okay, can detect drivers exceeding the speed limit. Over a fixed distance, the speed R varies inversely with time t. Inversely. R varies inversely with t. What is the relationship that I have to write before I even read on? K over t. So R varies inversely with t. In one particular pair of markings, R is 79 miles per hour. So R is 79 when t is 4 seconds. What do I do with the given information?
Plug it in.
Yes. So I have 79 equals k divided by 4. I need to find k. What type of equation is this, or what should I do? Bless you, to find k.
Multiply by 10.
Exactly. So how much is 79 times 4? I'm lazy at this time of the day. 316. So R equals 316 over t is the correct equation. Find the speed of a car that travels the given distance in 6 seconds. What is the speed of this car? How much?
52.6.
52.6 miles per hour. Very good. I was planning on reviewing relationships between variables. They were perfect examples. Please look at all your quizzes again. And I found one of your quizzes, and you were not here. Right? Perfect. Okay. I am going to post tomorrow, or hopefully tonight, a list of questions from each and every chapter. I will choose odd number problems so you can check the answer in the back that I would like you to review for the final exam, in addition to what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to list some topics, and you're going to say, yes, I want that, yes, I want that, yes, I want that. Do you think we should review anything that we had on the last test? In other words, chapter 7 and chapter 12. Is there anything in chapter 7 and chapter 12 from the test that I just returned that you would like to review? Okay. So in that case, if 7 and 12 are clear, I'd like to review radicals, chapter 10. For example, 22 on page 645. The square root of 25 in parentheses x minus y, everything squared. Simplify. Use absolute value bars when necessary. Okay, how do we simplify this? First of all, I will separate into two, the square root of 25 and the square root of x minus y squared. This is 5.
Times x minus y.
Right, but it has to be an absolute value. Because the power, the resulting power of x minus y is 1. I would like to look at 93. (93). 2, the square root of 50, minus 3, the square root of 125, plus the square root of 98. Okay, so what would you tell me to do? I'm hoping you're going to say, do this. (50) is 2 times 25, because 25 is a perfect square. Oh, this is 5, sorry. 125 is 5 times 25, because 25 is a perfect square, 5 is not. And 98 is 2 times 49. Would you agree? So in that case, then you will separate the radical of 2 times 25, and you will have the square root of 25, which is, and you will go like 2 times 5 times the square root of 2. Do we agree with the first term? Okay, what will you do with the second term? You will write 3 multiplied by 5 and the square root of, perfect. And then plus, you will take the square root from, yes, so it's 7 the square root of 2. Now one more step. So this is 10 the square root of 2 minus 15 the square root of 5 plus 7 the square root of 2. Would you agree with the second step and the third step? Now I'm looking at these 3 radicals and I realize that only 2 are like radicals. Which ones? So 10 apples plus 7 apples. So this will be 17 the square root of 2 minus 15 the square root of 5, and no one can further simplify this. This is it. I would like to solve a couple of radical equations. Like 22 on page 648. So this is x equals the square root of x minus 2 plus 2. What do I have to do first? Say it again.
Subtract 2.
Exactly. X minus 2 equals the square root of x minus 2. Excellent. What do I have to do next?
B squared to get rid of this one.
I have to square both sides. Very good. I have to be very careful with the left-hand side. When I square a binomial, I could never forget what? That when I square a binomial, I get how many terms? 3 terms. What are those terms here?
Squared minus 4x plus 4.
Very good. The right-hand side.
X minus 2.
Very good. What type of equation is this and how do I proceed? Yes, because it's quadratic. Very good. So what will you write? X squared?
Minus 8x.
I subtract x because it's positive here. When I take it here, it'll be negative. So negative 4x minus x.
Minus 4
And I add 2.
plus 6. X minus 6 and x plus 2 and 3.
Yes. X minus 2, x minus 3. So the two options are good. But remember, we squared both sides. I have no idea whether they work or not. What do I have to do? Yes, I'm plugging in 2. Let's try 2. 2 minus 2. Square root of 0. 0 plus 2. 2. Accepted? Good. Now let's try 3. 3 minus 2. Square root of 1. 1 plus 2. Accepted? It turns out that both solutions work. Let's divide two complex numbers. 30 on page 648. 1 plus 4i over 1 minus I. How do I divide two complex numbers? Dividing complex numbers looks like rationalizing. It's not, because there are no radicals here, but it's similar. The process is similar. What do I need to do? Multiply and divide by the conjugate. So if I had here 1 minus the square root of 2, I would have not multiplied by 1 minus the square root of 2, right? By 1 plus. So it's 1 plus I, 1 plus I. What do I get in the denominator?
Minus
1 minus I squared, right? A minus B times A plus B is A squared minus B squared. Good? How do I write the numerator? I have to FOIL, right? So it's 1 times 1, 1 times I, 4i times 1, 4i times I. So what do I write?
plus 5 plus 4i squared.
So 1 times 1, right, is 1. 1 times I plus I. 4i and plus 4i squared. Excellent. Good. So then it's 1 plus 5i, but how much is I squared? Negative 1. So this is minus 4 over, if this is minus 1, how much is negative 1? This is negative 1 multiplied by negative in front. So it's 1 plus 1. Good. What do I have left at the top then? So now the top is, how much is 1 minus 4? plus 5i divided by 2. I have to separate them. Tell me please how to write that. Plus 5 halves I. Good. Let's find the distance and the midpoint. Let's say the points are -6, 3 and -8, -7. We want to find the distance and the midpoint. Why would students skip the final exam review? Breaks my heart, really does, because I really want everyone to get a good grade in this class. One of my students wrote me an email and she said this. I really realized from the online class. I met her once. She came to my office hours once, and she said, I can tell that you really care. I don't know if people see that I really care. Sometimes some people may see it, but some people don't. But I really care. Okay, distance. The square root of something similar to the slope. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus 1 y1 squared. And remember, it cannot be separated because you cannot separate a sum under the square root, just a product or a ratio. The midpoint is x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. So this is with minus, this was with plus. Good. So please dictate what I recommend. Of course, you can use any method you like, but this is my suggestion. First, denote this by x1, y1, and x2, y2. And after you write the formula, write them underneath. So here's my x2, which is -8. So here's my x1, which is -6. Here's y2, which is -7. And this is 3. It will be easier than looking back and forth to the numbers, I think. Okay, so now, here's what we have. -8, but minus -6. What will that be? -8, but minus -6. How much is that? Now I have to square that -2. What do I get? Yes, plus. Now I have -7 and -3. How much is that? And I square -10. So this distance is the square root of 104. If I'm asked to leave it as is, I will. But if I need to simplify it, I will rewrite it as 2. I'm sorry, not 2, but 4 times 26. So the distance will be 2, the square root of 26. Now what about the midpoint? Just add up the two values of x. -6 minus 8. That is -14 divided by 2. So -6 minus 8 is -14 divided by 2 is -7. And now the second one, second coordinate, 3 minus 7. 3 minus 7 is -4 divided by 2, -2. Okay, completing the square. Ready for completing the square? Yes? Okay. So 4x squared plus 16x minus 20. And I'm specifically tortured with completing the square, which doesn't even solve the problem. I have to use taking square roots. Otherwise, I will not be able to solve, but that's the requirement. Complete the square. What will you do first? Mandatory.
Add the 20 to the other side.
Okay, that's good, but mandatory step. 20 can wait, or I can do it right now. It doesn't matter.
Then do half of the 16 and square.
The mandatory step is this has to go away. I cannot complete the square if the leading coefficient is not 1. So first, I must divide both sides by 4. So what do I get? I have to clean it up. Leading coefficient must be 1. So what do I have?
X squared plus 4x equals 5.
Excellent. Now, yes, the middle coefficient, 4. Divide 4 by 2. What do I get? 2. Square 2. This is what I add to both sides. X squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 5 plus 4. It must appear on both sides. If I omit to add it to the other side, I change the problem completely. I'm not solving the problem that I was given to solve.
What did we just do? I'm so
Yes, the middle coefficient is 4.
okay.
I divide 4 by 2, I get 2. I square 2, I get 4. And this is the number I need to add to both sides. This must all be in here. In where? What is that?
X plus 2.
Very good. X plus 2. Now, if I don't remember what I have to do next, I get stuck. I'm not going to be able to solve this equation. What do I have to do next? Take the square root. Good. So then what do I get? Careful. It's quadratic. How many solutions do I have to get? And if I forget to put plus or minus, I will get only one solution, and that will be incorrect. So x plus 2 must equal. Remember, this should have been the absolute value. Instead, we write plus or minus on the other side. So then x equals negative 2 plus or minus 3. I have to separate them. So x equals and x equals. Say it again.
-5
Perfect.
and 9.
Yes, thank you. Perfect. Okay. At a seasonal clearance sale, Nana spent $33.75. I'm looking at problem 22 on page 649. So she spent $33.75. She paid $3.50 for t-shirts. and $4.25 for shorts. If she bought 9 items total, how many of each item did she buy? First of all, let's review the information. She spent $33.75. She bought some t-shirts, and we know for each she paid $3.50. And she bought some shorts, we don't know how many, but she paid $4.25 for each. We know that she bought 9 items total. Some t-shirts, some number of t-shirts, and some number unknown of shorts. First of all, how many variables does the problem have? 2. How many equations do I have to write? 2. Okay. So let's say X is the number of t-shirts and Y is the number of shorts. Please give me 2 equations and they have to be consistent. Units plus units equals units. Dollars plus dollars equals dollars.
Can you do X plus Y equals 9?
Oh, absolutely. So the total number of units she bought, X the number of t-shirts, plus Y the number of shorts, she bought a total of 9. Excellent.
And X plus Y equals 33.75.
Careful. Because X is number of units. So number of units plus number of units cannot equal dollars.
It's like 3.50X.
Yes. So 3.5x plus 4.25y equals 33.75. Let's explain. This is the amount of dollars spent on total X t-shirts. $3.50 for each multiplied by their number. This is the total amount of money spent on total of Y. $4.25 for each times their number. And this is the total number spent, the total number of dollars spent. Is this okay? Okay. 2 equations, 2 unknowns. How do I solve the system? First, I recommend let's clean up the second equation. What do I mean by that?
Get rid of the decimals.
Good. What will I multiply both sides by to get rid of all decimals? Keep the equations together, please.
100?
Yes. So 350x plus 425y, 3375. Now, remember we have 2 options. The third one is not an option. Graphing is not an option here, please, of course. So you have the substitution if you want, or you have the elimination if you want. If you want to eliminate, what will you do? Which variable will you eliminate in case you decide to eliminate? Okay, that means if we decide to eliminate x, doesn't matter, x is good. What do I multiply by and by what? Which equation and by what?
Negative 350 in the top equation.
Absolutely. So negative 350x, negative 350y equals negative, how much is that? $3,150. Please copy the second equation underneath. What will I do next? We are eliminating.
So you mark out the first negative 350.
Okay.
75y,
Very good. Equals.
25.
Uh,
250.
it's 225.
And divide both sides by 75.
What is y equal 3? What does it mean? 3 what? Careful. 3 shorts. Good. Good. Now, if the total number of items is 9, how much is the number? How many t-shirts did she buy? Exactly. So the ordered pair, what we claim to be the solution of the system, is this. Do I believe it? No. I have to go back. I have to plug it in. I have to make sure that both equations work. I don't believe it till I check. So 6 and 3, 6 and 3. Obviously 6 plus 3 is 9. I don't have doubts on that. But I'm using my calculator now to check that 3.5 times 6 plus 4.25 times 3 equals 33.75, and it does. Only now I can say yes. I like to look at the system of inequalities. Can anyone make one up? Let's say 2x minus 3y less than or equal to 6. And y less than or equal to 2. How do I solve the system of inequalities in 2 variables? What do I have to do first? Remember, I have to write the equation first. 2x minus 3y equals 6. I have to graph the equation. When x is 0, y is
-2.
perfect. What is the ordered pair? I need to write the ordered pair before I move on to the next one because I may mess up.
0, -2.
Excellent. When y is 0, how much is x?
3,
And the ordered pair is?
3, 0.
Perfect. So now let's plot and graph. So I have 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 0, -2. I stop for a moment and look at the inequality. If it has the equal symbol, I will draw it as a solid line. If it does not have the equal symbol, it's not going to be a solid line. So it is a solid line. I write on the equation 2x minus 3y equals 6. I did not graph the inequality yet. This is only the equation. What do I do next? I choose a point. I would like to choose a point here because the easiest point to work with is the origin. And the line does not pass through the origin. If it had passed through the origin, I would have not been able to use it. But I'm going to use 0, 0. 0, 0. 0 less than or equal to 6. Is that true or false? True. So then I have to shade in that area, that region, including the line. And this is 2x minus 3y less than or equal to 6. Not this. This is just the line. Now, this is much easier. What is the equation that I have to graph for this? Y equals 2. Have to think for a moment. What type of line is y equals 2? Is it the altitude or is it the position? The altitude. Very good. So I graph y equals 2 as a horizontal line. Solid or not? Good. So it's the altitude, not the position. Y equals 2. Now I read the inequality. If only one variable is present, I don't need the origin. So y less than or equal to 2. This is y greater than 2, and this is y less than or equal to 2. So greater than or equal to 2 or less than or equal to 2. Which one do I choose? Above or below? Below. Y less than or equal to 2. What do I do now with the gray area and the red region? What do I do with those? I have a gray territory and I have a red territory. This is a system. This is like similar to what I did here. I found something. Okay, I went back to both of them. So I have to choose points that verify both. So the same thing here. Over there, I only had 1 point. But here I have to choose values, ordered pairs, that verify both inequalities. If I choose this territory, it will only verify the first. If I choose this territory, it will only verify the second. If I continue here and I choose this, it will not verify anything. None of the above. So which territory do I have to choose? Right. This, and everything in between. That is the region that represents the entire system, both at the same time. Okay. Yeah, let's also rationalize problem 12 on 647. We are given 4 minus the square root of x over 4 plus 2 the square root of x. How do I rationalize this? And then I like to go back to chapter 9. What do I need to use to rationalize? Very similar to dividing complex numbers.
The opposite of the denominator?
Called conjugate, yes. Very good. What do I do?
4 minus 2 times the square root of x.
Good. Indeed. Okay, what do I have? Then I would like to move to, go back to page 583. So, can anyone dictate the top?
Minus minus 4. There you go.
Two. And how much is the square root of x times the square root of x?
X.
Perfect. I recommend the denominator, instead of foiling it, remember a squared, a plus b times a minus b is a squared minus b squared. You can foil if you want to. A squared
16.
minus this quantity squared. I have to square 2, and I have to square the square root of x.
4x.
Yes. Good. So let's try and see if we can combine like terms at the top. 16 and 2x, no. But negative 8 the square root of x minus 4 the square root of x, yes. So 16 minus,
12.
very good, the square root of x plus 2x over 16 minus 4x. What I would do, I will factor out the 2 from the top and factor out the 2 from the bottom, because now we know 2 and 2, and simplify it, because I'm allowed to simplify factors. So, what do I have at the top? From here, what is left?
8
Minus.
minus 6 square x
And plus,
plus x.
very good. From here, 8 minus 2x. And that's why I'm allowed to simplify 2. I don't have to state a restriction for 2 when I simplify it. The only restriction should be 8 minus 2x not equal 0 or x not equal 4. So this is it. Page 583. Problem 48. Four x minus 3 over 5 less than 1. You will have a problem like that. There is no secret about it. It's at the end of chapter 9, page 583. I'm already moving backwards to other things that I'd like to review. Okay, so what do I do? I have to translate this into something I can solve. Right now, as it looks, I can't do anything to it.
So you make it into a problem for the 4x minus 3 divided by 5 equals 1.
I cannot change this into equals. So it has to be between -1 and 1. If I had greater than, what would I have written? Remember, with the absolute value inequalities, there are two options, either in between or outside. So I'm asking myself this: find numbers whose distance from 0 is less than 1. Where will I find numbers whose distance, that's what the absolute value means, whose distance from 0 is less than 1?
So you use an equation.
In all equations, I have to keep the inequalities. So two numbers have the absolute value 1, or the distance, I should say, from 0, 1. Two numbers. Which numbers? Which numbers are exactly at 1 unit away from 0? 1 and -1. But now I want to find numbers whose distance from 0 is less than 1. Where will those numbers be? With a distance from 0 smaller than 1. Where will they be? Right. So these numbers must be greater than -1, but smaller than 1. So how do I solve this inequality? What do I have to do first? Exactly. So -5 less than 4, x minus 3 less than 5. Now what?
Add 3,
Good.
all 3.
Very good. -2 less than 4x less than 8. Final step.
Divide by 4.
-1/2 x 2. How do I write the solution? It's right there under my nose. I don't have to do anything. I just have to write it in interval notation. X in the interval. What interval? Now I want to choose one going the other way.
I have a question.
Yes.
So it would be the same thing like I did this. Set regular and then set negative, right?
But you don't know which direction it's going. Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Because you may write this.
Mhm.
Don't change an inequality into an equation.
Okay.
So what we did here, maybe that is the question. I could not solve this inequality before graphing the equation, which is not what I'm doing here. I cannot change this into equal symbol and get these numbers. Once I get these numbers, then what?
Mhm.
Is it this? Is it that? Where am I going? So please do not change such an inequality into equation. Here, we did not change the inequality. We had to graph the equation, so I had to write the equation before graphing it. So I had to graph this first, and I had to graph this because then otherwise I did not know where the threshold is between the solution and the non-solution. So that's why I needed to find this and I needed to find this. But here I cannot change the inequality into an equation because I will not know which direction it's going. So that's why from here I know it has to be in between. I write in between and I graph. I solve. Now the other one, and after that I'd like to review chapter 8. I'm going back to find another problem. It doesn't matter, I can make one up, but I like it to have it. So on same page, 583, yes, problem 27 on 582. x over 3 plus 6 in absolute value minus 8 greater than negative 5. So what do I do? I have to add 8 to both sides. So I have x over 3 plus 6 greater than 3. Now I take a moment, take a deep breath, and I think. What numbers have the absolute value 3? Negative 3 and positive 3. Now what do I want? I want to find numbers whose distance from 0 is not less than 3. But whose distance from 0 is more than 3. So these two inequalities cannot be presented in a chain. They are two separate inequalities because these values have nothing in common with these values. These I can write in between. But greater than or equal to 3, no, for you, less than or equal to negative 3, or greater than or equal to 3 have nothing in common, or just greater than. Okay? So that's why this has to be separated into two totally different inequalities. One that is greater than or equal to 3. Oh, just greater than, I'm sorry, I don't know why I say equal. And the other one, what? Remember, you cannot include the in-between. That would be a mistake. So less than negative 3 or greater than 3. So greater than 3 or less than negative 3. Nothing in between. If you include something between negative 3 and 3, that would be a mistake. Because those numbers have the distance smaller than 3. These numbers have the distance greater than 3. Okay, so now I have to solve these two inequalities. So x over 3 plus 6 greater than 3. X over 3 greater than negative 3. Subtracting 6 from both sides. And now I have to multiply both sides by good. I'm done with the first inequality. That is solved. Now the other one. X over 3 plus 6 less than negative 3. I have to subtract 6. And I have to multiply by 3. Always remember, the absolute value less than is going to be a simple interval, but the absolute value greater than will have the union in the solution. So when I write the solution, it has to have the union because it was greater than. This portion of the real line or the number line and this portion have to be presented with the union. So what is the union? Which one goes first, from left to right? Yes.
Okay. So on the second page, the x over 3 plus 6, no, go down, sorry, to the beginning of the second page. Greater than 3, and then you have x over 3 is greater than negative 3 because you subtracted 6, right?
Yes.
So then to solve that,
Multiply both sides by 3.
by 3.
3 over 1 and 3.
Can't multiply. Good night.
Trust me, it happens to me too.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Then I subtract 6 and I get negative 9 and multiply by 3 and I get that. So now how do I write the solution? It has to be the union from left to right. With a parenthesis, very good. Very good. So there is no secret, you'll have something like this on the test. Chapter 8, functions. on page 547. $25. The value of a building bought in 2000 continues to increase as time passes. 7 years after the building was bought, it was worth, so in 2007, so the value of a building bought in 2000 continues to increase. 7 years after the building was bought, which means in 2007, it was worth $210,000. 12 years after it was bought, which is 2012, it was worth $270,000. Assuming that this relationship between the number of years past 2000 and the value of the building is linear, write an equation describing the relationship. What am I given?
Years of the value.
Right, which means I'm given two ordered pairs. Which one is the independent variable? Which one is x?
Years?
Of course. However, I cannot put the name of a year in a problem. So this is 2000. How many years after that will that be? So 7, 210,000. And 12, 270,000. Okay, I'm asked to find an equation, a function that is built on these two ordered pairs and is linear. What do I have to do first? What do I need to determine first?
The slope?
Very good. Can anyone dictate the slope? You should write the definition y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is rise over run. And then fill in the numbers. So y2 minus y1, what should I write? Very good. Minus over. Excellent. 270 minus 210 is 60,000. And 12 minus 7 is 5. 60 divided by 5 is 12. So 12,000. Measurement unit, 1,000 per year. Remember the measurement unit of a ratio. If I say to you, I drive at 60, what does that mean? Miles per hour. It's the rate of change of distance with respect to time. If the slope here is 12,000, it's dollars per year. So it increases every year. The value of the building increases every year by 12,000. So measurement unit of the top is dollars. Measurement unit of the bottom is years. Dollars per year. Okay, now what? We only determined the slope. We did not determine the equation yet. What do I need to do next?
Y minus y1 equals.
That. Excellent. Thank you. So write those numbers underneath. Which ordered pair you want to use? It doesn't matter. But the slope will be 12,000, no matter what. So which ordered pair you want to use? First one. Then it means that you're going to put 7 for x1, and you're going to put 210,000 for y1. So what do I get now? I get y minus 210,000 equals 12,000 times x minus 7. I have to distribute 12,000 and I have to add 210,000. So y equals 12,000x minus, what was that?
84,000.
Yes, my 84,000 plus 210. Oh, let me write it like that first. 84,000 plus 210,000. So y equals 12,000x plus 116, is it? Uh, 106. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, part B.
210.
So what did I do? Oh, this is 126, sorry. Part B. Where is part B? Okay. Use this equation to estimate the value of the building in 2018. So in part B. What happens in 2018? What does that mean? In 2018, x is 18. So y equals 12,000 multiplied by 18 plus 126,000. So I got 342,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, more of chapter 8. Yes. Let's say this problem. Find the equation of a line passing through -2, -3, and perpendicular to 2x minus 4y equals 6. So find the equation of a line passing through -2, -3, and perpendicular to 2x minus 4y equals 6. Please do not forget to review all tests with solutions, please. I like to look at another function, and I like to look at using substitution. Remember those problems in which we change an equation from something super sophisticated into an equation that is quadratic? That's okay. I'll give you an example in a minute. So, what do I do first? So here's the scenario. I'm asked to find the equation of this line, knowing that it passes through this point, -2, -3, and is perpendicular to a line whose equation is given. This is not the actual equation, this is not the actual, but this is the scenario. So I'm asked to find the equation of this line, knowing two things about it. Knowing that it passes through this point, and knowing that it's perpendicular to this line. When two lines are perpendicular, what do I know about the slope of M1, and M2? What is the relationship? If they are parallel, M1 and M2 must be same slope, right? If they are parallel, M1 has to equal M2. But if they are perpendicular, if they form four 90-degree angles, not this. This is not four 90-degree angles. This, four 90-degree angles. What is the relationship between M1 and M2? M1 times M2 equals negative 1. Another way to remember it, m1 equals negative 1 over m2. This is only for perpendicular lines. Okay, so what should I do? I have a point, but I'm missing something very important, without which I can't do anything. What am I missing?
The slope.
Exactly. So I'm missing this slope. Unknown. I'm going to call it M2. I don't know what it is. But if I manage to determine M1, I will use this relationship to get M2. How do I determine M1? That's the question now. What should I do to this equation to find the M1, to find the slope?
Solve for y.
Exactly. So then negative 4y equals negative 2x plus 6. I moved 2x to the other side. And now I must divide both sides by negative 4. Y equals 1/2 x minus 3/2. So therefore, I have M2. How much is M1, forgive me. How much is M1? Excellent. If M1 is 1/2, how much should M2 be? If M1 is 1/2, how much should M2 be such that the product is negative 1? In other words, I'm asking 1/2 times blah equals negative 1. 1/2 times, okay, let's say we don't see it. 1/2 times M2 equals negative 1. What should I do to both sides to get it? Good. So then M2 equals negative 2. So then if M1 is 1/2, M2 is negative 2. So now I have the slope and the point. I have the point negative 2, negative 3, and I have the slope negative 2. So what do I do next? So first step, I identified the slope of the given line. Second step, I calculated the slope of the unknown line. And now I have the point and I have the slope. What do I do?
Plot it.
Say it again.
You plot it.
No, I don't need to. I only need the equation. What do I do with the point and the slope? We just used it a few minutes ago for the word problem.
Y minus y plus m times x minus x.
Very good. So then what I have is everything, actually. I have negative 2, I have negative 2, and I have negative 3. Negative 2 is the slope that we just determined. X1 is negative 2, Y1 is negative 3. What should I write? But it's minus minus. That's why I wrote it so I don't make a mistake. Y plus 3 equals negative 2, and in parentheses, x. Very good. I will distribute negative 2 and then subtract 3. Negative 2x minus 4 minus 3, that is y. So y equals negative 2x minus 7. Here's f of x. Negative 3x squared plus 2x minus 1. I want to determine f of negative 2, and I want to determine f of a plus 2. And then I would like to look at an equation that uses substitution. And I'm looking, I think those come from chapter 6. Yes, and I also want to look at a problem with from chapter 11. Can anyone dictate f of -2? Of course, there is a -3 in parentheses -2 plus 2 times -2 minus 1. We all agree with that. So now what do I have to do first? -2 squared is 4 times -3. Very good. -12 minus 4 and minus 1. How much is that? -17. Good. How do I determine f of a plus 2?
So -3 times a plus
Very good.
plus 2 times a plus 2 minus 1.
Excellent. Remember, I have to square first. I cannot distribute. That will be a terrible mistake. So -3, how many terms will you give me when you square a plus 2? 3 terms. And they are plus, plus, good, plus 2a plus 4 minus 1. So therefore, -3a squared minus 12a minus 12 plus 2a, and I can combine this into 3. I have to combine like terms, -3a squared minus 10a and minus 9. So -3a squared minus 10a and minus 9. And this is it. I would like to review 2 problems from page 704. One problem from 704, or 2 problems from 709. Here's the first one, 26, on page 708 first. 5, x plus 3 squared minus 19, x plus 3 equals 4. Yes, you can square and distribute. That's fine. However, if you notice that there is an x plus 3 here, which is squared, and there is an x plus 3 here, which is not squared, you should consider, I'm not saying it's the only method, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I highly recommend it. I will write, what is this? I will write let t or y or z be what? X plus 3. What is the new equation that we just created? -4 equals 0. I already subtracted 4y because I see it's quadratic and I have to have 0 on the other side. So how do I solve this? Either the long way or quadratic formula. Nobody forces you to use one or the other. So if you want to use the long way, 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. So we need to find two numbers whose product is negative 20 and whose sum is negative 19. If you want to do this, you can say, no, I want to use the quadratic formula. That's fine. So you want this or the quadratic formula? That one. Okay, so can we find two numbers whose product is negative 20 and whose sum is negative 19? Very good. So then we have 5t squared minus 20t plus t minus 4 equals 0. Therefore, what do I have? From the first two. So 5t, and I get t minus 4. What should I get from the other two? Otherwise, I can't continue. T minus 4, and now I look. What do I put outside? Just plus. So then t minus 4 is the common factor, and outside I have plus 1. So there are two options for t. T equals and t equals. We move 1 to the other side, it becomes negative, and we subtract. We divide by 5. Perfect, but that's not done, right? Now I have two equations to solve. Which equations? X plus 3 is 4, and x plus 3 is? Because this is t. T is x plus 3. So this equation is x plus 3 equals 4, and this equation is x plus 3 equals negative 1/5. We agree? Okay. So x plus 3 equals 4, and x plus 3 equals negative 1/5. From the first equation, x equals? Perfect. From the second equation, I move 3 first. So x equals negative 3 minus 1/5. I find the LCD to be good. What is the adjustment I need for this? Very good. So negative 15 minus 1. So these are the two solutions. X equals 1 and x equals negative 16/5. I want to work on one more problem. 54 on page 709. Please review carefully all problems we did tonight. The function h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 120t plus 300 gives the height in feet of a projectile fired from the top of a building after t seconds. When will the object reach a height of 350 feet? I'd like to change the question into, when will the object hit the ground? Find t when the object hits the ground. How do I find that? Of course. So 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 120t plus 300. You know me, what I'm going to recommend next. What is it? Multiply by negative 1. In this case, also divide, let's say, by negative 4. Yes, very good. Refuse to solve a quadratic equation with a negative leading coefficient. Please refuse. So I have 4t squared minus, this is 30t, and minus, is it 75? Divided by 2 is 150, divided by 2 is 75. With these kind of numbers, don't even try to use factoring. Go ahead to what? Quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus times 4 times negative 75. I have two negatives in there. I'm going to change this into positive. 4 times 4 is 16 times 75 over 2 times 4, which is 8. Let me remind you how to put this in the graphing calculator. Left parenthesis for the top, 30 plus the square root, parentheses, 900 plus 16 times 75. Close the parenthesis under the square root, go outside, close the parenthesis again, and divide by 8. And press enter. If you want to obtain the other one, just go back to second and entry. You will copy everything you did before, you entered before, and now just go back and rewrite, overwrite plus into minus. Of course, the negative time has to be disregarded. So time to hit the ground, 9.5 roughly seconds. Any questions? Please redo all quizzes, redo all tests, redo the problems we did tonight, and then work on the problems that I'm going to post. It's a list of questions to look at from each chapter, each section.